Welcome back to Inside Iraq. Today we are discussing how the invasion and the occupation has ripped the social fabric of Iraqi society with Abdul-Haq al-Nuemi, Kamal al-Adhadh, and Hadi Amr and Haifa Zangana. Before the break, Haifa Zangana, we were mentioning how Iraqi politicians, they have set up shop and opened multiple, perhaps hundreds of news media. Most of them you can't read, most of them are spewing poisonous hatred, and yet they are used by Iraqi politicians and Iraqi parties for their own ulterior motives.
I don't think it's right to blame just the occupations, though they are the main people to be blamed, because they got the military power, they got the money, the budget, the planning beforehand, at least the planning for the invasion itself, not the planning for what's going to happen after the invasion. But also, I keep saying that we are not, regarding Iraqis themselves, I don't think the barbarians, when they invade a country, they cannot fully succeed or be successful unless there are people from inside the country to help the barbarians. And those are the political parties that really active, or they think they are in power now in Iraq, and they are building their bases on sectarian divide and ethnic divide as well. And this is seeping in the parliament, seeping into the ministries, various ministries. The Ministry of Education is following one militia or one sectarian political party. The Ministry of Health is following another militia and another sectarian political party. So this is, we're not talking about Iraqi people in general. We are not talking about the deep social fabric of the society.
She's basically saying that although we are seeing the manifestation of violence, but it has not gone to the very core of Iraqi society, which is extending to 5,000. From what your observation of the last 5 years, have Iraq passed the point of no return, or there is still hope and they're going to learn from their mistakes?
I think Iraq's in a precarious situation right now. I would disagree. I mean, from what I see, I see that the pain does penetrate down to the ordinary person. Maybe not the sectarianism, but certainly the result of sectarianism has created poverty. The result of the sectarianism has created suffering on ordinary lives. I think there are two or three paths Iraq can go down right now. One is Iraq can go down a path like South Africa, which is a multi-sectarian state, black, white, Asian, living and working together, and through leadership, political leadership, from the top, from Nelson Mandela and F.W. de Klerk a decade and a half ago, they rose above their conflict and went forward. Similarly, Bosnia is another example where I worked for some time. Bosnia struggled with sectarianism, and I should say also in Bosnia, the different groups did harness the media to exaggerate their claims and create fear and instill fear. It's up to the political leadership of Iraq to call upon their people to rise above the sectarianism and build a common country with a common future. And I'm an American, I'm not an Iraqi, but I hope that America is there to play a productive role in the process. Colin Powell, getting into it, said to President Bush, if we go in, if you break it, you bought it. That's an American expression that means if you cause problems, it's your responsibility to fix it. So while many are calling for the U.S. withdrawal from Iraq, and I'm personally sympathetic with that, I think it still remains an American responsibility because we created this problem.
You have a comment?
The Iraqi people are by nature are violent and cannot live together. It would never been supported in the whole history of the Iraqi society. This is a fallacy. What is happening now, the social fiber of the Iraqi society, is being hammered by many players. First of all, let us take first one, the political religious groups supported by vested interest neighboring countries. That's one factor to play on the sectarian motives to try to mobilize or try to achieve their own ends. Second, we have the fundamentalist terrorists, the Qaeda, who are, maybe they are ideologically motivated. Secondly, you have the remnants of the old regime who wants to get, I mean, at least to try to make...
So all these factors are
all these
contributing
factors
to this
together,
violence
yeah,
and to this upheaval. Let me just include Dr. Al-Nuemi for just a second right now. Many Iraqis right now, they're not sending their children to school. They are fearing something is going to happen to them and nobody can blame them. And do you fear that there is a lag of time, there is a generation might be coming in the next 5, 10 years that they don't even have the basic skills in education?
Of course, will be the result. Probably 100,000 students who were previously in schools are out of school right now. If we include the number who are in the nearby countries, probably it will be much more. So this is a natural result.
Al-Adhadh mentioned Al-Qaeda and mentioned other forces are contributing to this. Well, something came across in Basra recently. Since the last 2 days, there has been a lot of fighting. Many women, they have been killed in Basra simply because refusing to wear the hijab. In your book, The City of Widows, you mentioned about the calamity of women. For 70 years, Iraq, through secularism and through the emphasis about civil society, the Iraqi women, they were at the forefront in the Middle East in progress. Has that all disappeared and we are going to start all over again?
Well, I think to start with, this is a very long process. Iraqi women's struggle is not going to disappear just for 5 years under occupation. We have to look at it in perspective. Iraq and Iraqi women's struggles, if we look at, and I was writing about 100 years of their struggle, with continuous achievements. We reached up to the legal equality, which is really absolutely almost unusual within the Arabic and Middle Eastern countries. This is not going to be just erased because we have this occupation and the medieval sectarian parties with it in the last 5 years. This one point. Second, not necessarily all the women being killed and assassinated is because of Islam. This is something which also been reported or highlighted by the media and by academia and by women organizations, feminist women organizations in particular. They say Islam is the enemy. In case of Iraq, it's not Islam the enemy. It is the sectarian, the medieval, which is almost like a virus now separating.
Thank you very much, Haifa Zangana.
Jassim,
make it quick.
Yeah, it is also the de-Ba'thification process, which is touching on women's life. They are shooting and killing women because they were either members of the Ba'ath Party or a women organization at that time. So this is the political face of the assassination and the killing.
Haifa Zangana, thank you very much. Dr. Al-Nuemi, many Iraqis, they have left the country. Most of them are professionals and middle class. Do you think they will ever come back?
If the environment will be safe and secure, because most of them, and this is the attitude of Ministry of Higher Education, even they give research work leave to highly qualified scientists and specialists to leave the country so that they can protect them for many years in hope to come back again to Iraq. So they'll go back to Iraq.
Dr. Kamel Al-Adhadh, money is no problem in Iraq. They have $48 billion. Will money be by itself enough?
Not enough, of course. First of all, we have to resolve the political conflicts that is going on there, or the political chaos, actually, which is going on. And now we are seeing a manifestation of this. Ordinary citizens in the streets reject and disclaim the existing ruling parties.
Hadi Amr, final comments from you. You are a student of history. You have seen this before, invasion and chaos and sectarianism. From what you know about Iraq, how do you see the future?
I think Iraq is at a moment where it can go one direction or another, and the key is leadership. I want to comment on something that Haifa said. I don't think the sectarianism is medieval. I think it's actually a modern thing that we've seen in Lebanon, we've seen in Bosnia, we've seen now in Iraq. This is a modern phenomenon that was not there before 150 years ago, and I think leadership is the key with American partnership, because America broke it, to success in Iraq. And if leadership fails, the leaders will fail Iraq.
Director of Brookings Institution here in Qatar, Hadi Amr, thank you. Dr. Kamal Al-Adhadh, an Iraqi economist, thank you. And Dr. Abdul-Haq al-Nuemi, thank you, gentlemen, for being guests on Inside Iraq. To access the show and to send us your comments, please go to aljazeera.net/English. That's all the time we have for this week. Join me next week when we take another look inside Iraq. Goodbye.